Hi, hello, welcome. I'm Marina, that one girl that likes to talk a lot about houseplants, and welcome to Millennium Planter. Today I'm going to be sharing my top 7 easy, uncommon houseplants. So this video was actually inspired by those Pinterest boards or like random pictures you'll see from not even like plant related accounts that are like the easiest plants that you'll ever have, and then they have like string of pearls listed. First of all, Becky, nobody can grow string of pearls, so so if you have a bunch of like common plants and you kind of like want to up your planting game level, then maybe try some of these out, or maybe just try one. These kind of videos make me nervous because like what might be easy for me may not be easy for you, but let's get on with the plants. Definitely let me know in the comments if you agree with any of my selections, or if you have any other suggestions. What's a super easy, uncommon houseplant for you? And I'm not talking about uncommon price-wise. I will admit some of the plants I do have listed might be a little bit more on the pricey side, but also just plants that aren't in a lot of collections. Like I have a few plants that aren't really expensive, but aren't also talked about ever. So let's get on to the first plant. So plant number 1 for my easy uncommon plants is my Anthurium, and you can see she is a beefy gal. Let me just make some room on the frame for us here. Sorry, I gotta give her her moment. But this is one of the plants I was talking about. I'm not sure what these go for price wise, but I really don't see Anthuriums talk about enough on I guess social media, on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. I don't see them enough, and I don't see them enough in plant collections. I will admit and say I see the silver one a lot, the silver Anthurium. I see that one at least a little bit more than the all green one. But either way, this plant has been really awesome to grow. I started and propagated this plant myself, and just look at how adorable this leaf is. I love the palm-like effect. It's kind of looks like hanging hands in a way. Kind of like gives me Wednesday vibes, right, with Thing. Okay, anyways, so it's coming out with a new leaf here. I have it growing on this aeroid soil pole, so it's filled entirely with aeroid soil in a plastic support, and you can see the roots there growing like crazy. It's kind of insane. The one thing I will say about this plant is that it has a tendency to get really leggy, so you can see all of that there, all of that empty space, and I don't remember what exactly happened to cause that. I don't know if it was a light situation. My cat has the zombies. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I don't know if the legginess was from a low light situation, or if it was from maybe it got attacked by thrips at one point and I cut the leaves off. I'm not sure, but eventually, I guess whenever this leaf fully unfurls, I will cut it, especially now since it's past the support and I don't want to make this support any bigger. But yeah, I'm gonna cut it and well, actually, I don't even need to propagate it because it already has roots coming in. So I can just cut it and plant it right back at the bottom to fill in some of that empty space and make like an Anthurium tree. But I think it'll be really cool to see these types of leaves just all over this pole. I absolutely love this plant so much. I got it at the beginning of this year, 2022, and it's really grown on me. And I think a big reason is just for this leaf shape. It's not like the regular plants that we have in our collections, at least not like the ones that I have in my collections. You know, I have like a lot of velvety leaves, a lot of heart-shaped leaves. I don't know, this one just offers something different. It also gives that palm-like effect without having to deal with an actual palm plant, because we know those are all super difficult, and those are probably also the other plants that are like on that list, on those Pinterest list. Palms, ugh, awful plant. Don't do it to yourself if you've been thinking about it. But Anthurium zippolinum, an absolutely amazing plant, and truly like just an underrated plant. Anthuriums in general, I actually don't even know what other Anthuriums look like. I'm gonna have to look into that. Maybe 2023 will be the year that I get into Anthuriums. I don't know, we'll see. Plant number 2 is going to be my Anthurium doriaki, and can you see why? Oh, she's just so pretty. She looks even prettier on camera, I'm not even gonna lie. So this is her newest leaf that is coming in. She is super big, just just absolutely stunning. She's such an easy Anthurium. If I'm going to be honest, I went through a really big Anthurium phase, and now I'm realizing that there's a lot of Anthuriums that I just don't grow well. So I'm gonna actually get rid of a few of my Anthuriums in the next couple of weeks and only stick to like a few Anthuriums, which is kind of crazy because at one point I did want my collection to be mainly Hoya and Anthuriums. My pockets definitely stopped me from getting more Anthuriums because Anthuriums can just get so pricey. I feel like even now with plant prices going down, Anthurium prices are still like super high, especially with all the dot blocks coming out. Like everything is just, they're almost becoming like designer plants, which they have designer plants, but I just feel like Anthurium are just in their whole other world. Like Anthurium people, are y'all okay? Are you okay? I hope you're okay. But anyways, Anthurium doriaki is actually a hybrid Anthurium. I don't know what the parents are. I will try to look it up and put it on the screen if I can find it. But I can't talk enough about this plant. There was one point where she wasn't doing too well, and I had to cut off maybe like 2 or 3 of her leaves, so she was getting really bare. But you can't even tell at this point. Like her foliage is just, it's like, it's so big, it's sized up so much, and she's just amazing. She's flowered for me once. That flower was sterile. I'm not sure if it's because she's a hybrid and hybrids don't fully develop their flowers, or if it was because it was her first flower. I'm not sure. I'm still dabbling with Anthurium pollination. It's a whole other world. Also had this plant probably since 2020, and I got it as like this tiny little plug, and it was probably like 3 leaves at the most, and she's never given me a problem. Never, ever. She's occasionally has gotten spider mites or maybe thrips, but she just holds strong, and she doesn't ever drop her leaves. You know, a lot of Anthuriums like to have just like 1 or 2 leaves, but as you can tell, she just loves to hold on to all the leaves, which makes me even more happy. I did have to trellis her because I don't even know if you can see, but her stalk, her stem, is just getting super beefy and kind of top heavy. So I just kind of like threw her on this trellis to prop her up, and I think that made her really happy because this leaf is just, it's massive, it's still soft, so it's still growing. And I think even, I don't know what's gonna happen with the next leaf. Like she's going to just be insane. I also like the fact that they stay really compact. So, you know, Anthuriums have a tendency to just throw out huge stems. Kind of like this magnificum here, one of the plants I'm going to be getting rid of. Like, I'm over this Anthurium. But yeah, they just seem to like get really long stems no matter how much light you give them. They just, that's how a lot of Anthuriums naturally grow, and it takes up a lot of space. But that's one of the best things about doriaki is that she stays really compact, and she's just really easy to keep on your plant shelves and to store with other plants. Another thing I hate about Anthuriums is how their leaves will just go everywhere. So they take up so much wingspan, and yeah, they're just really difficult to store, but not with doriaki. So she just kind of like checks off all the marks for me. She also has like these really beautiful heart-shaped leaves. She's slightly silver, she's slightly glittery, she's velvety. She's just such a stunner, and I love her so much. Eventually I know I'm gonna have to cut her and propagate her, mainly because I want to experience propagating this plant. But that also makes me kind of nervous. I don't know, we'll see what happens in 2023. But Anthurium doriaki, such a beauty. Once again, another plant I really don't know what their prices are on the market, but if you can find one, I highly recommend it. In my experience also, they're not too particularly fussy with humidity. So if you have an Anthurium clarinervium, or if you've heard about clarinervium care, their cares are very similar. I would say this one is probably even a little bit easier than a clarinervium, at least in my experience. Plant number 3, we have the variegated albo Monstera, and let's talk a few things about this plant. So I received this plant maybe 2019, maybe 2020, I had one to give away, and this was like my first ever rare plant that I had in my collection. I was super nervous about it because it was a cutting, so I had to propagate it, and this was actually the reason why I got into perlite propagation. If you're new to my channel, perlite propagation is my thing. I love it. I swear by it. It's really just, it's a foolproof method for me for propagating, and I got into it just because of this plant, because I had it in water. It wasn't doing too well in water. Put it in perlite and it propped like crazy. I had 2 pieces and they both propagated really beautifully for me. I know it doesn't look like much since, you know, I've had it for so long, but I have cut this plant at least 3 different times, and 3 times it has propagated super easily for me and has grown back and has just done amazing. One time I did get splits and fenestrations from it, and I'm still so salty I cut it back then, but you know, we're here now. And I would say the biggest problem with this plant, if you have a high variegated Monstera albo like I do, they do have a tendency to put out these white leaves, but I think that's good because it gives you a chance to experiment with variegation. So I've experimented with cutting her back and seeing what that does with the variegation, and the last time I cut her back is when I started to get all this craziness. So right now she's doing a half moon all white leaf, half moon all white leaf pattern, and I'm not too crazy about it. You know, I'm trying to get these marbled leaves back because these marbled leaves are what's going to stay. Right now I'm dealing with like a lot of browning, but I think that's more of like cosmetic issues. As a plant in general, she is so easy. I treat her just like my regular all green Monstera deliciosa. I've never had to deal with root rot with this plant. She's not even a slow growing plant for all the white that she has. She grows just like as the same speed as my regular Monstera deliciosa, which is kind of mind-blowing. I know when I talk about this plant, I always compare her to Thai constellations because a lot of people have problems with Thai constellations. I don't know what it is, like they always get root rot or they're super slow growing. Like I know a lot of people that have only had 2 or 3 leaves with their Thai constellations in a year, which is so annoying. But I don't have that problem with the albo at all, and I'm actually really happy that I acquired this plant. This is a plant I definitely 100% would not have in my collection if I didn't win that giveaway. And I know the prices on these plants can be really crazy. Like I've seen them go for thousands of dollars, but then at the same time, like they go for less than $100. So you really have to search, but they're not rare, you guys. These plants are not rare. There are so many variegated monsteras out there. The prices are just people being assholes, if I'm being honest. Just search your local Facebook groups if you want to find one, because they are well worth it, you know. And I'm not even a variegated person. Like I don't like I'm not crazy about plants just because they're variegated or silver, but this plant just has been a real stunner and a lot of fun to grow and very unexpected. So yeah, I'm excited to see where 2023 brings me. I'm really hoping that we get some fenestrated leaves, some splits, some more marbling leaves instead of all white leaves. But I have put it in my head, made the decision to not cut her. Just gonna let her live her life and see what happens. So there we have it for my variegated Monstera. Now for plant number 4 is another plant that isn't particularly uncommon because of its price, but uncommon because I don't see this plant really often ever talked about, and you could find it for a really good price, but it is Philodendron mexicanum. I feel like I don't talk about my mexicanum enough. I truly just love this plant. This plant is such a statement piece, and I really wish I could have her up here in my plant room, although she does look really pretty in my bedroom. I'm not gonna lie, I like waking up every day and having my mexicanum right there because she is just her own little tree in herself. I'm actually thinking, because my son is obsessed with specifically rainbow Christmas lights, and he told me to get rainbow Christmas lights, so I think I'm going to put some rainbow Christmas lights on that one. I just thought about that. I think that's what I'm gonna do, and I know that he's gonna love it. He's 3 years old, so yeah. Anyways, Philodendron mexicanum, so easy. Once again, another plant that I have chopped multiple times, so many times, and it has just come back. And even now, you know, she's in a lower light situation than when she was up here in my plant room. Up here in my plant room, she was receiving a lot of grow light action, and now downstairs she's in a very shaded area by my window, and her leaves are still coming in super massive, and she's still putting out leaf after leaf after leaf. It's mind-blowing. I don't give her steroids, but I feel like she's on steroids. Is that a controversial statement? I'm sorry, but she is just popping off, and I don't understand why. Her conditions have drastically changed since being down there, but I am not complaining. This plant is just, it's so easy. If you like Monstera albo, I would highly suggest mexicanum. They also have the same burgundy-ish undersides. My mexicanum, I wouldn't say it's not as burgundy as the albo, but it does have like a maroon kind of underside to it. It also has those real lobe, horse-shaped ears, sinus. I'm throwing in a lot of words, I'm sorry. But it does have those ears that Philodendron are notorious for, and she's just really mature. She's one of my biggest and most mature houseplants. Once again, another plant I think I got around 2019, 2020. I don't really remember that. Those years were a blur, and I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if we split the plant because there was 2 plants in it, or if we cut it and I kept the base and she kept the top. But either way, I'm gonna put pictures of when I first got her, because I found these on Instagram a few days ago, and it's just, I didn't remember how small she was when I got her. Her leaves were still kind of mature and big, so don't get me wrong. We did buy this plant when the leaves were already pretty big, but she only had like 3 or 4 leaves at the time. So she was just so little, and now she's almost as tall as me. I think she comes up to like my shoulder area, so she's at least 4 feet tall. And she's in a massive pot, like absolutely massive. But yeah, Philodendron mexicanum is just an absolutely amazing houseplant. I cannot recommend her enough. Plant number 5, we are finally getting to a Hoya. I absolutely love Hoya. Hoyas are very hard for me to gauge as to like what's considered common and uncommon, because Hoyas aren't really readily sold in a lot of places, and a big majority of my Hoyas I've actually purchased off of Facebook groups. Other than a Hoya Crimson Queen, Crimson Princess, maybe like Compacta, I feel like those are like the most common. But I don't know, I feel like linearis might be a little bit more on the uncommon side. I don't know, but either way, she is an amazing Hoya. I mean, just look at her. So one thing I feel like I didn't really know about linearis before I got her was how soft they are, and they are just so soft and so velvety. It's amazing. I feel like I need a head planter for her. Would she just not look so cute in a little face planter and then just have all this hair trailing down the side? Ooh, Christmas present to myself? I think so. But I don't know. I don't know what to say about linearis other than she's like super easygoing, such a fast grower. I would say the only downside to this plant is that they like to be super mature and established before they bloom, and that is just such a bummer because I need to experience a linearis bloom. But I know my time will come soon. Hopefully 2023 is the year. Right now I have her up on a shelf that's just up above out of the frame, and I can't wait for the day where I just look up at her and I see all these blooms and umbels just hanging off of her vines. I think that would just be so amazing. I may even cry a little bit. I get a little emotional with my plants sometimes. And look at how cute these little new growth looks. They're like little fingers. Oh, I just love this plant so much. It really brings me so much happiness and makes me so giddy just to think about. And they almost look like kind of like string beans as well. So if you've been thinking about Hoya linearis, definitely get one. They're super easy to propagate as well. I've propagated a few pieces. I'm really trying to get this one like just nice and full and lush. And yeah, just such an easy and amazing Hoya. All right, plant number 6 is my Aplysia. I never know the full name of this plant. I need to label her because I know there's another name. I don't know, and I don't know if Aplysia is the genus name. I'm pretty sure it's not the genus name. I don't remember what the genus name is. Anyways, it'll all be on the screen for you. But this plant is just, it's so cool. It's so cool. It is so easy to grow. It grows just like a pothos, really. Like, it's that easy, if not maybe even easier. Another plant I propagated from just a wee little baby, and she has grown and grown and grown, and as you can see, her leaves are slowly progressing and getting bigger. And look at that silver sheen. She gives me Cebu blue vibes, but with like silver sword shaped leaves almost. I'm not sure if that's quite accurate, but she's beautiful. That's the important part. She's beautiful, and these aerial roots, they are just ready to cling on to something. I might just allow her to cling on to my walls because that's just where I have her, up against the wall. But this plant is just so easy. And this is another plant I rarely ever hear about, and I don't know why. Because I feel like they should be just so readily available because they're so easy to grow and so easy to propagate, but not enough people have them, and I think you need it in your collection if you don't have it. And also, I am down here filling her roots. I didn't even know she needed to be repotted. I'm gonna add that to my to-do list. I have so many pots to get, so many pots. I dropped my huge Hoya macrophylla that was in like a 6-inch pot, I think, and that was a few days ago, and she's still sitting in a tub because I haven't gotten a pot for her. But we're not talking about macrophylla. We're talking about my Aplysia. I still don't know to this day what the mature form looks like if this is the final state. I feel like it might be because a few pictures I've seen of it on Instagram, like other collectors, just they still have the same type of leaves. So I'm really curious. I'm going to look into that because it would be really cool to see if they maybe got some sort of fenestrations. But even if they didn't, I'm still really happy because these leaves are just so stunning. I really like these blue silver type of leaves. I love my Cebu blue for that same reason. It's just so different and so beautiful, you know. But yeah, true stunner and a really easygoing, uncommon houseplant. My last and final houseplant is one that she's heavy. This is Philodendron El Chaco Red. So this maybe might fall into the rare category. I don't know. Once again, I don't really know where a lot of plants fall into the categories in the houseplant community anymore. But Philodendron El Chaco Red is on my list because I've had such an easy time growing this plant. I've had a big one, I've had a small one, but I've also heard a lot of other people say that this is a really easy philodendron as well. Now, at one point I did have a Philodendron luxurians, and I feel like they are kind of the same type of philodendron, you know. Philodendron luxurians does have more veining, kind of gives you gloriosum vibes, and El Chaco Red is, I think it is a variation of verrucosum, so it does kind of have those verrucosum vibes. You can see the back of this new leaf has that gorgeous red back that verrucosums have as well. But my luxurians was one of the most difficult plants I've ever had, and I have never murdered a plant so hard in my life. Philodendron El Chaco Red, on the other hand, has just been so easy. I would say she is not even really particular with high humidity, although, you know, with philodendrons, I would say higher humidity is always better for them, especially when they're coming out with those new leaves. But she's a champ. She can definitely deal with a little bit of underwatering, and right now she's not under a grow light at all. She's just kind of off on the side of my grow rack, and look at this leaf. It's insane. I saw somebody mention that they realized that Philodendron El Chaco Red doesn't really like a lot of that direct light, and they do get bigger leaves when they're in a lower light situation, and that is something I was experimenting with, and I feel like that's kind of the case with me as well, because look at this leaf. She is receiving probably the least amount of light she's ever received, and wow, wow, her leaf is still soft too, so it's still growing. And you just look at those veins. Oh, they're stunning. And it's kind of like a full circle moment also, because Philodendron El Chaco Red was one of the plants I've had on my wish list probably for the longest, along with Thai Constellation actually. But I've had this on my wish list for probably like 2 or 3 years before I finally got my hands on one, and it has just been such an amazing experience, and I am so happy that I can finally grow one. So I would definitely recommend giving one a try. These prices on them have drastically decreased. I mean, the little one that I got was this is embarrassing to say, but I purchased it for $220 way back in the day. And well, they don't go for that price anymore, not even this size houseplant. So never spending that much on a plant. Anyways, a really fun plant to grow. I will say the biggest downside with this plant though is that it is a spider mite magnet, which go figure, you know, it's a velvety philodendron. I feel like out of all the velvety types of plants, philodendrons are just the ones that attract spider mites the most. So that's definitely something you have to keep an eye on. You're constantly going to have to like wash down her leaves and just be mindful of the spider mites, but she is well worth the drama in my opinion. But that wraps it up for my top 7 or 8 easiest uncommon houseplants. I already forgot the number that I said. But yeah, those are all my easiest. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Let me know what easy uncommon houseplants you have in your collection. Are you gonna try any of these houseplants out? And also, if you haven't subscribed already and you made it this far into the video, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, help propagate this community with me. I would absolutely love to have you. And thanks so much for sticking around. I hope you all are staying safe, sane, happy, and healthy, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.